Hey, real estate rock stars, welcome to the Whole Enchilada of Real Estate Investing, the only podcast that serves up the full feast of street smart strategies to build wealth and take control of your financial future. I'm Lou Brown, and I've been in the real estate game since 1976, so I've learned how to make the whole plate worth it. Each week, I'll be dishing out creative financing hacks and proven systems that help investors build multi-million-dollar businesses. No fluff, just the good stuff, straight from the source. Ready to dig in and start making deals? Let's get to it. Well, good day and welcome. We are so happy today to have Milva Gilluly. So welcome to the Whole Enchilada Podcast. I'm Lou Brown, and I am here to learn more about who you are and what you do and how you operate. You know, we are certified affordable housing providers, and what we do is help deserving families end up with home ownership, regardless of credit or financial background. So a lot of times we work with real estate agents like yourself that have clients that do have down payment money and they do have a desire to own a home. However, they can't qualify the traditional way. So we make a business around doing exactly that. We purchase the property, we move them in, we work with their credit while they live there. We help them build up their down payment if necessary, and then ultimately they get a new loan from the bank, or we become the bank for them, and in the long term, they enjoy the home. And so we love working with real estate agents a lot because often you run into people that have situations like that and they need the services that we have. So, I love talking to real estate agents because they say, well, I actually have people in my phone right now I want to work with you on. So,
yeah, there's definitely, now I see more than ever, people want to be able to move into something, but they don't have the ability to save. And it's just, they're trying to buy stuff that is not very expensive, and they try to buy it maybe with a 5% down or an FHA. And a lot of the places that are more affordable are within communities that have villas or townhouses, and they're under an HOA. The HOA doesn't have enough money on their budget for them to be sold as a FHA property, so they don't get approved. And it's just, it's a very, very bad situation for a lot of people. So that is awesome that you guys do that. That's really great.
Well, that's a beautiful thing. And tell us a little bit about yourself, because you've had a varied background coming from another country, Argentina, and shared with us, what's your journey been like?
Well, I moved here in 96. I had gone to college down there. I was in hospitality. I got my degree. I was working as a flight attendant back home. And then I had lived in the U.S. between 79 and 81. So my brother had moved here in 91 already. And I always wanted to come back, but I really didn't know what I was going to end up doing. I thought I was going to work at a hotel. And then I said, no, I'm just moving here. I don't want to work weekends. So either way, I ended up getting married. My ex-husband was a builder. So in a way, we were always around the whole real estate thing. And he did really well until the market crashed. And I went to work for a property management company. And then while I was working that job agent for Berkshire Hathaway, at that time I was Prudential. And I'm like, I don't know one thing about real estate. So I don't know if I can do it. We are 12 years later for a little second.
So you have learned a lot about real estate in that time, and now you are focused on the higher end properties. Is that right?
Well, in reality, I just sell whatever people need me to sell them. I do luxury. I'm certified luxury. I'm certified relocation specialist because I do work with a lot of people that come from other states, other countries, and their time frames are really short. I'm military certified also, but down here we don't have any big bases. So honestly, it's very seldom that I do sell to people that are in the service. And then I work a lot with first-time home buyers, and I love that. Those are the most rewarding buyers for me, because my goal is to educate them, and there's so much information, and it's exciting to see when they're able to close on their first home and how we can take different venues to get them the most for their money and trying to get the furniture in, and just ways to help them out, or even some assistance with the down payment, especially now that we have all these new rules and the commission that's supposed to fall on them. So I just love getting them where they, when you're helping people out, trying to get them their first home.
Absolutely. It's very rewarding to work with people
great.
and help them to achieve their goals of home ownership. We love it. We enjoy very much working with people that are just starting out or starting over, as the case may be. If they had setbacks, like you said, your husband, the crash and burn of the economy, that took out a whole lot of people and definitely interrupted their flow of opportunities. And so we just like to be of service in that way. And it sounds like you're very service oriented as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's easier to deal with people that really are making a stretch to make things work because they're more focused, I think. And when you have somebody that just wants to move, they don't have to move. You're working under different time frames, and it's very gratifying. I worked with, in the last 4 months, with two very young couples, just in their 20s, young 20s. And I have never seen people that focused. Like, they knew and they follow what I said, and, go-getters. And I love that. I love that.
That's perfect. You put the nail on the head with attitude. When you get people that are truly committed to the outcome, they'll do anything that's necessary. And we do love people that follow the rules. They follow the instructions and they say, here's what we need you to do. And they do it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of people do it. I think time is something that, if you don't have time to actually do your stuff and all your loan stuff and applications for associations and all that, things can get messy quickly, but I'm always there to assist with the whole process. So in one way or another, we get it done.
Well, that's one of the great things about real estate agents is really guiding people through. They already know the landscape. They know what's going down. And people that don't know that, it certainly helps greatly to have the services of a real estate agent. Now, you've been doing this for 12 years. Is that right?
So I started as an assistant for a top agent. At that time, it was Prudential. Then I worked with her until 2018, mid 2018, and I went on my own then. She was seasoned. She had been doing that for 25 years, and I wanted to integrate the business as partners, and that didn't pan out. But I stayed with the same company. I just changed offices because I was moving east with my partner. So I just changed office, but I stayed with the company and I went on my own, and it was the best decision I ever made. So, I've been on my own since then.
So you're a solopreneur now, a licensed solopreneur. You're doing your own thing. That is brilliant.
Yeah. I do everything. I mean, I might be at the point where I'm kind of busting out at the seams and I might have to start looking for help, but I'm still trying to handle all my business myself. I did delegate a little bit of marketing, and whenever I get some crazy projects, I try to deliver, give that to somebody else to do the research. But my day-to-day, it's all done by me. Yeah, no transaction coordinator, not any of that.
That's wonderful. We love working with real estate agents, and one of the things and one of the reasons is because they have done exactly what you're doing. By the time you split of the real estate commission itself, you're going, what did I actually make? And I did all the work. So it's great that you're smart enough to go out and do the 100% commission angle, which is one of the reasons that a lot of people work with us is because they want to also invest in real estate. They want to buy it right, buy it cheap, buy it by taking over existing financing, and be able to hold some of that real estate and have the income off of it as well. Have you done any investing in real estate?
We did, but we have 5 too many children, so they're all living in our investments. You know how that goes. But yeah, we have 5 kids in between the two of us, and whatever. We have 3 additional properties, and we just bought this one that we're living in a few months back. So the idea is to increase our portfolio also, but again, we have all the children living in our properties right now. So, we're going to stop buying because they're going to want to keep staying. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Until they're all on their own, we got to figure it out.
Got to figure it out. And you're right. That's a hole in the cash flow bucket for sure. Yes, you buy the properties for the purpose of making cash flow. So, one of the unique things
Well,
about
they're
what we do is
appreciating,
our people, of course they would be. One of the things that's unique about what we do is our folks move in and they pay us either an option fee or a down payment, and we get the monthly income off of it as well, because ultimately they have the opportunity to eventually purchase the property. So you might want to approach the kids that way and say, "Hey, do you want to buy this place? Let's work this out."
I'm thinking they wouldn't want to live where they're living right now, just because we did buy those as investment, and they all have an idea of where they want to be down the line. But as of right now, they're not thinking about moving either. So I don't know if they would go purchase those properties, but it would be nice to see at least one of them has their own initiative of like, oh, you know what? We want to move. They're comfortable. What are you going to do? Kids these days.
Well, if you don't have any rent, there's no real reason to move on. That's an interesting thing. So what do you see on the horizon for yourself? What do you see on the horizon for your business? I heard you say that you might need to get some help, which I can help you with that too. We have assistants in the Philippines that help a lot of our licensees to be able to do a lot of the business. It's a surprising thing about the business that we're in. There's so many things that can be done by others. There's so many things that really, when you have them trained, they can just do that for you. So I love the idea of being able to get help.
Yeah. For me, it's hard to delegate, like I said, because I do everything. So I start getting worried when my hands are not on everything, but the paperwork is really not, a lot of people have issues with paperwork. For me, the paperwork is super easy. It's not something that takes a lot of time for me. I'm savvy with the computer and all that stuff. More than anything for me was the marketing that I really needed to unload, and I was able to get a company that's helping with that. So that's great. My vision, just because I moved to Palm Beach, I'm an hour away from where 100% of my clientele is. The idea is to grow the business in this area, and I'm going to need help, physical help down there to help me down there. I have worked with great agents over the years, and I do have a couple of people that in the process of me moving here have been helping me, because sometimes it's not worth it for me to drive an hour to go show, a condo for 5 minutes.
That's right.
So I have people that I can trust. It's not 100% of their time is taken by me, which they need to grow, they need to do their own stuff. But if the business up here takes off, and then I'm going to be more limited to the drive down there, although I still do it 3 times a week, then I definitely have to add somebody else to the team that can help me. So it's just going to be a matter of the right arrangement, because I know in this business, trying to make teams work is not easy. I've seen it firsthand. I actually worked for somebody and we were not a team. It was like more like a superior situation. And that's what, when you're putting so many hours, so much work, then it starts to feel it's not fair. And I hate that feeling. I hate anybody to have that feeling, because I know what it feels like. So that's when you make the decision to team up or go bigger, you have to have actually a very good strategy. Otherwise, it's just a problem waiting to happen, I think.
You're so right. And really being able to build a good team. There's a lot of agents, there's a lot of real estate investors. In fact, I wrote a course called Long Distance Profits, where you're investing anywhere in the country, and being able to manage that whole thing long distance is one of the great things that you can do. When you're able to connect with the right people, and they're willing to run around for not much money at all, and be able to cause things to happen, sometimes affiliating with another agent in that area and having them hold the showing for you, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I found resources through the years. There's a company down here that you pay them per showing. So it would happen that every time I'm on the plane, I'm about to take off, somebody's texting me, "Hey, I'd like to see this property today at 4." I'm like, dang, no, I'm leaving. But I found somebody reliable that if I just want the showings, they'll do the showings. They'll do open houses and everything. And they have what I like is they have a fee, and they're super professional. They don't get to take your clients. They're just there for the purpose of, facilitating the showing, which
So
I
what
think
do
is
they typically?
fantastic, And when I first started using them, believe it or not, when they first started, I trusted them. And that was maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. It was like $35 a showing. And then it would, depending on how many showings it added from there. Now I think they're at like $65 a showing. But obviously, if you're talking about like less than $500,000 property, you start adding things up, then you don't want to do it all the time, obviously. But when we're talking about a high-end client that is going to get represented properly because they're going to go to the property, they have presence, they answer questions, it's totally worth it.
Yeah, that makes sense, and experience benefit from that.
I like that. It was a great idea. And I'm like, how are you guys going to do it? So even with the new buyer broker agreement, they can still do it because at the end of the day, they're representing me and they have no part in the transaction. They're just showing the house for me. So it works. Because I was a little afraid about their business model. I'm like, how are we going to do this? But they figured it out.
They figured it out. We tend to, as human beings, always figure things out, don't we? And there's always opportunity. I love working with entrepreneurs, people that have that mindset, because we always figure things out. Sooner or later, there's a solution, or there's an opportunity where you can step in and say, about me, and I can do some things here. That's why a lot of people that are real estate agents have adopted our brand and become certified affordable housing providers, because they say, wait a minute, I'm running into deals. I could be purchasing properties and putting the very people that I'm turning down and not putting into properties, I could be putting them into houses that I can receive the income off of.
So you have agents that are banking into that whole thing. Well, that's really interesting.
All over the country, in all 50 states, they've adopted our business model and our brand and blended it with what they're already doing. And so they're able to use our processes and procedures. And as a result of the marketing that we do and how we do it, there's other kinds of leads coming in. So as a real estate agent, you're getting leads. The typical method, the traditional way, we get our leads by actually looking for people that have less than perfect credit, and looking for people, maybe they're business owners and they can't qualify for a traditional loan. And so we're actually looking for those kind of people, and they come to us, and then we're able to, in fact, it's even funny, they become team members. They help us find the property for them, for us to buy for them. And so not only do we look at the MLS and we look at things that are online, we're also having them go out in the field and finding vacant properties, finding properties that don't have a sign in the yard and that nobody else knows about. And of course, that opens the door for us to be able to talk to the seller and work out things with the seller, and without a listing, go ahead and purchase the property.
Right. Interesting. So you have a lot of minions.
Oh, they're wonderful. They're actually business owners because they purchase our license to use who we are and what we do. So they're learning from me and from our team, and then they're building their own business doing exactly the same thing.
Interesting.
It is. It's been a fun process to build the model. I've been in the game over 40 years. So there's a lot of things I've learned what to do and how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we
would you say it's the biggest change have you seen maybe on agents' lives, like the way they used to operate to the way they operate now? What do you see?
so
Yes,
much of
I
the
hear all
business.
the stories from the past, but
Yeah, so much of the business has changed because it used to be a lot harder, frankly. With the advent of the internet, people being able to have services like you just mentioned with the showing service, and we don't show any properties ourselves. We have our clients show themselves the property. We go in advance, we put a lockbox on there, and I'm talking about like a builder's lockbox, and we put it on the frame of the door and leave it there permanently on the house. And then when they call about the property, we say, okay, well, go ahead and text me a copy of your driver's license, front and back. And they send me that. And then I send them a disclaimer and release. And they read that and they say yes, and they agree to that. And then I walk them over to the lockbox and I show them how to get in. And they show themselves. They've already disclaimed any liability that I might have and that getting hurt or anything like that, and we're not establishing a landlord relationship and the whole bit. And then when they leave, they call us back. We give them the code again. They put the key in there, and we're able to, through DocuSign, send them the application. They go ahead and send us the application back, and we still haven't met them yet. So we're able to, establish that relationship and then
and it
be able
works.
to screen them and then
Yeah.
get on into the property. And typically they have good down payments, but sometimes not great down payments. So we allow them to do some or all of the repairs to the home as well. People usually come in, they want to paint the walls a different color, they want different flooring. Well, we actually give them credit towards their down payment for them agreeing to do some or all of the repairs. So that allows them to get into the home and have enough down payment to qualify for our levels of the path to home ownership.
Nice. Wow, that's great.
It really is. And, for a real estate agent, you are typically working with like 20% of the market, the ones that actually have a credit and can get an easy loan. And we're working with not only those folks, but the other 80% that the banks don't love. We love them.
Yeah, I don't love the banks either, So at the end of the day, they just make things a lot harder.
A lot harder. The compliance, you asked what's different, and now the banks, the compliance, the difficulties, that the hurdles, the closings have become a lot more complicated than they used to be. The process with working with folks. So there's an offset. On the one hand, it's so much easier to get the marketing done and get a client into a property. On the other hand, if you're working the traditional banking, it's a lot harder. So that's why we fill that niche. We actually
I don't
become the
know
bank.
how you guys deal with if there's a lot of HOAs up there. Here, that's the killer. And you will go with a bank that is trying to get the building approved, and they won't tell you until you're 4 days away from closing.
That's
And
right.
every time somebody comes with a bank, I cringe, but that's who they're approved with. And also, we have some banks here that are giving incentives. Sometimes the properties call for incentives based on where they're at, but they're giving like, $5,000 grant or whatever, and people just see that, But then we start the process. Like right now, I have a client that came with a bank, and he's getting $5,000 for down payment assistance. And on a $350,000 budget, that's significant for him, right? And basically, yeah, I said to the lady, I said, listen, the homes in that price range are not going to be what he wants them to be. What about if we look into the townhouse possibility? But they have to qualify. And I said, okay, out of these properties, do these qualify? She's like, oh, we'll wait till we order the estoppel and then we'll know. I'm like, no, we cannot wait till you order the estoppel, 15 days in the transaction for him to be told no. I work around it, the other way. So now I'm doing all the legwork, and she's just telling us, we'll see later what happens. And I'm like, no, we're going to put an offer on something that's going to work. But then the HOA doesn't want to tell you if they can take less than 20% down, if they'll take a 5. So now I have to go through history of the property, call every agent. Like it's a lot. It's a lot. That's our biggest issue here, is the association and not being able to get, loans with low percentage down. That's our biggest problem.
And that's one of the reasons that we don't like that either. We're with you 100%. And we work directly with the buyer. We purchase the property, they move into the property, but you do have to get those things approved if it's in an HOA. And there's so many properties that are not in HOAs. You know, when you get into the arena of someone that has a certain amount of down payment and they have a certain incentive to get there, bank incentives come with lots of strings attached. And that's one of the things that we found, NACA and the other things. Oh my gosh, you've got to give up so much of your profit to make it work that it doesn't work. So we having our own program and being able to just incentivize people by actually not putting them through all those ringers. And so that's.
So then let me ask you a question. When you buy the property for them, obviously it has to be in a place where they can rent because they're renting from you, correct?
Well, you know, one of the interesting things is actually go to the HOA and tell them who we are. We're certified affordable housing providers. We offer a program called the Path to Home Ownership. We have a client. They have down payment money. They've been screened. They've been vetted. We've approved them. And now we're moving them in. We're purchasing this home under our program. What I found was that the HOAs actually like what we're doing. They like the idea, and especially just the social benefit of helping deserving families end up with home ownership. You know, so there's a comfort level there that these are not traditional rentals, and we're not traditional landlords. We don't do traditional landlording at all. We're only interested in folks that have the mentality of eventually owning a home.
Right. So how long does the process from the moment that you buy the house for them till they start, you know, trying to go themselves to get the mortgage for it? Usually what's the time frame?
Usually 2 years. Some of them get it done in less than that. I have people do it literally in 2 months. And one of the reasons they've come with us is simply because they don't want to be outbid in some kind of bidding war. That's happened to them over and over again. So they just go ahead and get into our program, move into the home, then they apply for the loan. And so we've had it happen even in a month period of time. But generally speaking, it's 2 years for them to build up their credit, build up their down payment, and be able to qualify. So on the other side of it, we give them up to 3 years to buy under our rent to own program. So they've got plenty of time, anywhere from 1 month to 3 years to be able to purchase. And then on the other side of it, if they put 10% down, we've got our in-house financing, and we just become the bank for them, and they can refinance that loan anytime they want to.
Wow, that's awesome.
It makes it a lot easier for people. You know, if they've got the down payment money, go ahead and go into what we call our gold membership, and that's agreement for deed. And now they're paying principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, and they're being able to have write-offs and the whole bit. And then again, they can refinance anytime they want to.
And the rates for that are higher than the norm, or?
They typically are. It depends on the credit worthiness of the person we're dealing with. And so we do vet them first before, like you said, you don't want to get down the road and find out they can't qualify. So we start with the qualification, and then we know, hey, I can sell this house. This person can qualify for a $200,000, a $300,000, whatever it is. That's the price that we're going to sell to them for. And the intention is to purchase the property for less than that. And that's where we make our profit.
Right. Okay. Good.
Yeah. So
it's very interesting. I'm going to definitely look into it.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. And wow, it sounds like you've got things happening there in Jupiter Farms, Florida, and also working in Jupiter. Are there any other areas that you work?
Most of my clientele is still in Broward and South Palm Beach County, which is Boca, Delray. But the bulk of my business is still, because I've been doing it for so long, down there in Broward County, Parkland, Pompano, Fort Lauderdale, all the fun areas.
All the fun areas. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is beautiful and wonderful down there. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you enjoy the heck out of it. And I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that your business is bursting at the seams. That's a great thing. And certainly look
We're
forward
doing
to.
good. Work hard though, there's agents and I work full time. So you can find me here at my desk most of the day if I'm not on the road. But I love it, as long as this is the feeling and the joy that I get out of it, it's going to continue to happen.
Is there anything else you want to share with our audience?
No, pretty much. If you're thinking that you might want to buy, go buy because it's so powerful and it's no matter where we're at in your life, it's just something that will always be helpful to be able to have your own property, your own house. And people are afraid and it's just not that complicated. If you have somebody that's good that can help you and guide you, then you're in good hands. It's possible.
It's
It's
one of the
possible.
wisest
People
things.
like you helping out. That's
It's,
great.
it's a beautiful thing, and it's one of the wisest things anybody can do in their entire lifetime because
Yeah.
you're acquiring an asset at today's price and you're paying it off with worth less dollars. So when you've got a fixed rate mortgage, every year those dollars are worth less, but you've got that fixed payment. And so you
Yeah.
get the benefit over the life of that loan to actually
Yeah.
pay it off, pay it off, pay it off with worth less dollars. And that's why it makes so much sense to buy at today's price, no
Absolutely.
matter what today's price is, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
As long as you can
That's
afford the payments, that's the other key
correct. Well, you don't
factor.
want to be house poor, but the lenders pretty much take care of that for you. You won't go over your ratio. They won't give you the loan. So, you know, but
We do the
there's a
same
lot of
thing.
opportunity.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunity. So I'm just hoping that people that think about it go do it.
Well, tell my audience how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, you can reach me at 954-775-7538, or you can visit my website at milvasells.com,
Hells,
ELLS.com.
SELLS. Got it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations. Keep up the great
Thank
work
you.
and spread the word. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Bye. Bye,
Take
Lou.
care.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the whole enchilada of real estate investing. I hope you're feeling ready to take your investing game to the next level. If you're serious about building wealth, you won't want to miss the Millionaire Jumpstart. It's a 3-day live event that's perfect for any level of investor. Whether you're just getting started or you're looking to scale, this can be one of the final steps of making real wealth happen. So, what are you waiting for? Enroll now at millionairejumpstart.com and get ready to make big moves in your real estate journey. I'm Lou Brown. Until next time, keep hustling, and remember, it's not about how much you make, it's about how smart you play the game.